that he is not a true mu'min, a true believer, until or unless he loves Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam more than anything. And when Hazrat Umar bin al-Khattab radiallahu ta'ala heard this from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what did he say? He then says, and remember, this is not just a lip service. He then says, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I love you, O Prophet of Allah, more than myself, more than my children, more than my relatives, more than my parents, one nas ajma'in, and I love you more than any human being that lives or that has ever lived in this world. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam then says to Hazrat Umar, that, O Umar, فَالْآنَ أَنْتَ مُؤْمِنٌ. But O Umar, now your iman has been completed. Subhanallah. Who has been told this? Amir al-Mu'mineen, Umar bin al-Khattab radiallahu ta'ala. A question can arise in one's mind to say, how do I love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam more than my own life? Because I need to love myself before loving anybody else. And then after loving myself, then I can begin to love any other person, because then I would have understood what love means. I would have understood the principle of love. How would it be possible that before loving myself, I need to love another person? You see, this kind of questions were not questioned by the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But anyway, we need to clear this possible misconception that why we need to love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam more than we love ourselves. There are many reasons to that. And one of them is that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the first creation of Allah Azza wa Jal. أول ما خلق الله نوري. The first thing that Allah Azza wa Jal has created, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that it was my nur. It was my light. And then every other thing was created from the light and from the nur of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When Hazrat Adam alayhi salatu wasalam was created, and after having eaten from the forbidden tree, according to narrations, he kept on making tawbah in the court of Allah Azza wa Jal, but his tawbah was not accepted. Unless or until one day, when Hazrat Adam alayhi salatu wasalam asked Allah Azza wa Jal for forgiveness using the name of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. For a very long time he's been asking for tawbah, but today he changes his method. He includes the name of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Allah Azza wa Jal asked him that, Ya Adam, kayfa arafta Muhammadan? Oh Adam, how did you know about Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? This incident took place before the creation of humanity. Allah asked him, Kayfa arafta Muhammad, and how did you know Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Hazrat Adam alayhi salatu wasalam then tells Allah Azza wa Jalla that, Ya Allah, lamma khalaqtani. Ya Allah Azza wa Jalla, when you created me and you blew your soul, your ruh, in my body, and life came into me. وَرَفَعْتُ رَأْسِي, and I picked up my head. رَأَيْتُ مَكْتُوبًا, I saw that there was something written on the arsh of Allah Azza wa Jal. The very first thing that Adam alayhi salatu wasalam did when he was created, when life was brought into his body, he opened his eyes and he saw on the pillars of the throne of Allah Azza wa Jal that something was written there. And what was written on the pillars, or what is written on the pillars of the arsh of Allah Azza wa Jal? He says, رَأَيْتُ مَكْتُوبًا, I saw that it was written, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then he says, Ya Allah Azza wa Jal, I thought, look at the mindset of Hazrat Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. He says, Ya Allah Azza wa Jal, then it came to my mind that this name, which is so attached to your name, which is so close to your name, it must be the name of someone that is most dearest to you, Ya Allah Azza wa Jal. And that's why I decided to ask you for forgiveness through the name of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And what did Allah say? Allah said, O Adam, you have indeed spoken the truth. You have indeed spoken the truth. And why we narrating this is for us to understand why do we need to love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam before we love ourselves. Then Allah will continue. He says, O Adam, if it was not because of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if it was not because of Muhammad, then I would not have created anything. It is through the creation of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that every aspect of creation came into existence. And if the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not come into existence, then nothing of the creation would have come into existence. So what do we understand from this? We understand that the asl of our creation, the essence of our creation, the root of our creation, the reason of our creation is none other than our beloved Rasul sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. And therefore, before you love yourself, there was a time you were not in this world. You need to understand your root. You need to love your root. You need to love your essence. Because then only when you love your essence, your root, you will be able to love yourself. And this is the message that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was initially given to Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. But O Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, you need to love the essence of your creation. You need to love that being upon whom, if it was not because of his creation, nothing would have been created in this universe. So for you to understand yourself, you need to look back before you were created and find your asl and find your root and find the reason of your creation. You will then realize that the reason and the root and the asl of your creation is none other than Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. And therefore you need to love him. You need to appreciate him first before you can appreciate yourself. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam tells Hazrat Amir al-Mu'mineen Umar bin al-Khattab radiyallahu ta'ala that la yu'minu ahadukum hatta akuna ahabba ilayhi min walidihi wa waladihi wa an-nas ajma'in. That none of you can claim to be a true believer until I become the most beloved person to him, more than his children, more than his parents, including every person that lives or that has ever lived in this world. And that Nabi of Allah, we call him our beloved Nabi Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we are so fortunate that Allah has made him our Nabi. He has made him our beloved. People used to go crazy for the love that they had for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, my respected Islamic brothers. And that caused devotion, the love that we claim to have for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, have we ever went out of our way to prove this claim that we have of the love of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Have we ever done something and say in the court of Allah that, Ya Allah Azza wa Jal, I am doing this in order to follow the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam because I love him. Ya Allah Azza wa Jal, I want to make dua every day before I eat food because this is the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There are little things that count the most. There is no need to jump into big things whilst you are living small little things around you. Even though they may seem to be very insignificant in our eyes, but every sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is significant in the court of Allah Azza wa Jalla. It is also significant in the hearts of those who love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Nothing of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is insignificant. Hazrat Uwais al-Qarni radiyallahu ta'ala. Hazrat Uwais was a person who lived during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but he was not a companion. He was not a Sahabi even though he lived during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He tried many times to go and meet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but he was not successful to do that. Once or twice he came to meet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was out of town and he could not meet him. But you see, the connection of love, the connection of muhabbat, the connection of genuine love. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would come from wherever he would have been, when Uwais Qarni came to visit him, before anyone could tell Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam anything, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would then say, Uwais Qarni was here to see me. Subhanallah. Nobody has told him anything. That Uwais Qarni was here to see me. You see, when people love each other, there is a language of love that is understood between the two of them, that even ordinary people would not understand, would not be able to understand the conversation that is going on between two people that love each other, even though their lips are not moving, but there's so much of conversation going on. Hazrat Uwais Qarni radiyallahu ta'ala, when he heard, look at the love that he had for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When he heard that one of the teeth Mubarak of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam became shaheed in one of the battlefields, what did he do? Hazrat Uwais Qarni radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he took his one tooth out. Subhanallah. Because he says, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam doesn't have this tooth. Why must I have it? I want to look exactly like Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then as he is busy contemplating, a thought comes to his mind. But the reality of the matter is, I am not exactly sure as to which tooth of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam became shaheed. I'm not sure. Is it this tooth? Is it this one? Is it this one? He says, I am not sure. What did he do? He took all his teeth out in order to follow Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He took all his tooth out in order to show muhabbat and to show love for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Look at the extent of love. That if my beloved doesn't have this, why must I have it? The true love will tell you that if I have a pair of perhaps Nike socks, I have a beloved, she must also have it, he must also have it. That is love. And this is shown by Hazrat Uwais al-Qarni My dear respected Islamic brothers, the companions of Rasulullah loved Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam beyond comprehension of humans' capacity of minds. They went very, very far, where our minds, the capacity and the ability of our understanding reaches the last point in which our minds can reach when we think of love. That is only the beginning of the love that the companions had for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is only the beginning of the love that the companions had for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One companion, when he heard that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam took parda, he has departed from this physical world, what did this companion do? He made a dua in the Quran of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Subhanallah. And he was one companion who was known as Mustajab al-Da'wat. Every dua of his used to be accepted by Allah Azza wa Jalla. He made dua in the Quran of Allah Azza wa Jalla. And what dua did he make in the Quran of Allah Azza wa Jalla? He says, Ya Allah Azza wa Jalla, I lived in the midst of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I lived in Medina, and my eyes occasionally, my eyes every time would look at Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Subhanallah. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to me, he is the most beautiful creation that you have ever created, Ya Allah Azza wa Jalla. Ya Allah, the love that I have for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is amazing. I cannot control my love for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, Ya Allah Azza wa Jalla, now that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I would not be able to see him with my physical eyes. Ya Allah, I do not need these eyes anymore. Allahu Akbar. He says, Ya Allah Azza wa Jalla, make me blind. Allah. Why? Because I have seen the most beautiful creation of Allah, and that was Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And therefore I feel that the duty and the responsibility of my eyes has been fulfilled. Subhanallah. And therefore, who is there to see with these eyes? Ya Allah Azza wa Jal, take my eyes away from me. And Allah Azza wa Jal accepted his dua and he made him blind. Look at that, my dear respected Islam brothers. And today we say we love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Let us have a proof as we have begun with this, that it is a claim that needs to be supported by a proof. And what is the proof of loving Allah? It is loving Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And there are many ways in which we can show our love towards Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. From amongst them, by following Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we are actually telling Allah Azza wa Jalla, Ya Allah Azza wa Jalla, we indeed love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is one way of, that is a step from amongst many steps that are there to show our love for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And therefore, my dear respected Islam brothers, let me conclude by saying that there was a person, in fact many companions of the Prophet, understand how the love of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam works. There was a companion, in fact many companions, that became Muslims. And shortly thereafter they departed from this world, either because of going into the battlefield and giving their lives for Islam, or it was perhaps because of natural death that may have happened to them. But the fact of the matter is they became Muslims, and without no zakat, without no salah, without no hajj, without no charity, they left this world. And what do we think is going to happen to those companions? Allahu Akbar. They are the dwellers of Jannah. Even though they have no namaz, no zakat, no charity, no hajj, Islam that they took and they embraced, and the love that they had for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is enough for him. That today when we read their names we say radiyallahu anhum wa radu anhum. The love that they had for Allah and the love that they had for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was enough to make them the dwellers of Jannah. The love that they had. What it means, if you do not have love for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, you may perform salah, you may perform hajj, you may give zakat, you may try to do all good actions and good amals, but if there is no love of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, all those good actions are baseless and they have no value in the court of Allah, because it is just a claim that was not supported by a good evidence and good proof. And what was the proof? The love of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. With these few words, allow me to ask Allah Azza wa Jal, that may Allah Azza wa Jal make us from amongst those whose love can be from the bottom of our hearts when we say we love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yes, the reality of the matter is we cannot be like the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They are highly esteemed companions. We can be how many in our millions and hundreds of millions? All our zakat, all our hajj, all our salah put together collectively. All of that will not be equivalent to the salah of one companion of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We understood all of that, but the reality is we need to start taking steps towards the love of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because this is what we need in this life, and this is what we need in order to support every other good action that we have, that we want to represent in the court of Allah Azza wa Jal. Because when our deeds will be open in the court of Allah Azza wa Jal on the day of Qiyamah, and then they will be empty from the love of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they will be meaningless in the court of Allah Azza wa Jal. May Allah Ta'ala really grant us more muhabbat and ishq and love of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And may Allah Azza wa Jal really on the day of Qiyamah, may He just look at the love that we have for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and may that love be enough for us to enter into Jannah. Ameen bi Nabi Amin sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Inshallah Azza wa Jal, now time for the sunnahs will be given.